Hello and welcome to yet another video in the series Losing Belly Fat, where we will uncover the scientific truth about belly fat. We will delve into the different types of fat in the body, their impact on health, and the evidence-based strategies to tackle the belly fat effectively. Now, let's begin by exploring the main two types of fat in the body. One is subcutaneous fat, the other one is visceral fat. Subcutaneous fat is the fat just underneath or beneath your skin, affecting the appearance of your body or how it looks like, but generally less harmful. On the other hand, visceral fat, however, accumulates around organs and deep under the skin and close to the body organs and the inner sides of your body cavities and is linked to serious health issues. Subcutaneous fat. Subcutaneous fat is the kind you can pinch. It serves as an energy reserve and provides insulation. It's generally considered less harmful than visceral fat. Visceral fat, on the other hand, is located deep in the abdominal cavity, like I just mentioned, releases inflammatory substances, and causes hormones contributing to health problems like heart disease, diabetes, and certain cancers. So let's clarify something about inflammation. Basically, inflammation is not a bad thing in the body. And inflammation is just a practical application of the body's defense mechanism. It's like saying we have a threat and we need to engage our security systems. So basically, that's what inflammation is. Now, we have an acute inflammation sequence and we have chronic. The acute inflammation is just the now response. You have a cut, the body knows that there are germs coming in, it just releases the response to that threat, and you get healed, and that's it, it goes away. But on the other hand, we do have the chronic inflammation. The chronic side of inflammation is what causes a lot of problems. It is the continuous activation of the immune response, continuously, this continuous threat. So this is where there is continuous threats in the body that causes the immune defense to be continuously activated. Now, that's when we have a problem, because when you have your armies or your soldiers fighting continuously 24/7 for the rest of the country's life, there is a problem. It means we are not dealing well with our allies or our enemies out there. We are not having good diplomatic sense or something. And this is what happens with chronic inflammation. The body is constantly fighting. The body is constantly sensing and experiencing threat to its immune system. And that's when we start developing all these issues, because the body is trying to keep a synergy of balance. And if that balance is being skewed all the time, then the organs of the body will start responding, and then they get tired, and then they start getting sick, and then the body starts getting sick. And that's where you hear a lot of health practitioners saying inflammation is not good. Now, that's the only specific part of inflammation is not good, because if you had completely no inflammation, your body will be getting threats and not respond to them. So what are some of the concerns caused by excessive belly fat, fat within your midsection? So cardiovascular diseases, heart-related diseases. So the visceral fat contributes to this chronic inflammation. It causes something we call the insulin resistance, and these two combine to cause an increased risk to heart diseases like elevated blood pressure, high cholesterol, and atherosclerosis, which I cannot pronounce that word for the life of me, but it is basically where your vessels are thickening because of fat deposits inside of them, thickening the space where blood needs to flow through. All these fat deposits, they end up clogging your blood vessels, and a lot of issues come out of that, which we cannot handle in this video. If you have any questions, please let's go to our communication channels and then get in touch with me. Now, belly fat is also closely tied to insulin resistance, and this leads me to the second disease factor that is highly contributed by this, and is type 2 diabetes. We have seen the increase of type 2 diabetes in our population today, and insulin resistance, which is a key factor to this type 2 diabetes, is leading to a lot of elevated blood sugar. So the body is in constant fighting to bringing your blood sugars down. And when you have high blood sugars, Most of the time, it ends up contributing to high blood pressure because, like I said, when one organ or one system is being affected, it contributes to affecting other organs as well. So what is really the insulin resistance? When you eat any food containing sugar, and sugar, don't remember just the sugar that you put in tea, carbohydrates, which is the energy-giving foods in our body, they end up contributing to sugar. So if you eat bread, eventually it's going to turn into sugar. If you eat corn, it will eventually turn into sugar in the body. It's a carbohydrate. So the little building blocks of all carbohydrates is sugar. Now, the question is whether it's a simple sugar or it's a complex sugar. And that's something we will look into in later videos. So when you eat any carbohydrates, your blood activates insulin because insulin is a conversion, is a hormone that is responsible to convert excess sugar into either fat or to store it in the body. So when there is oversupply of sugar and continuously, then there is going to be an oversupply of insulin. Now, the body gets to a point where it gets desensitized to this insulin. Like, for example, if somebody is on crack cocaine, they just need a puff to get high. And eventually they will need 10 puffs to get high because of that addiction and addictive cycle in the body. Insulin is the same way. For example, if you needed 3 ml of insulin to process 20 grams of sugar, eventually, if there's of a continuous supply, the body is not able to bring itself to balance, you might end up needing 10 ml to process the same 20 grams of sugar. Now, that's what we call insulin resistance. The body is not able to sense the insulin hormone as fast and as effective as it normally once did. Cancers. Excess belly fat has been linked to increased risk of colorectal and breast cancers, and this can just spiral into many other cancers and also metastasis of cancer and just all the issues that go around cancer and things that we cannot even begin to. We know the fight we have with cancer in our world today, and this has been linked to some of the causes to that. We have metabolic syndrome. I think the biggest way I can explain metabolic syndrome is a PCOS, like where your hormones are not functioning properly, your digestion gets skewed, and then you have all this metabolic, it's a cluster of conditions that arise that are leading to heart disease. They lead to stroke, they lead to diabetes, they lead to infertility, they lead to sleeplessness, they lead to depression, they lead to all these things because all your digestion mechanisms have been skewed, they've been tipped off balance, and you have all these issues that are emanating from your gut not being able to function properly. So PCOS is a major one that leads to infertility. It's been on the increase due to increased weight and especially fat deposits around the belly. So what really contributes to this belly fat? So the biggest of the causes is and that we cannot change because there are some factors that we can change and there are factors that we cannot do nothing about. And one of the biggest factors that we cannot do nothing about is genetics. Your genetics play a role in where your body stores fat. And majority of the people, it will be around your midsection, influencing the challenge of losing belly fat for some individuals, because then we are building on this myth that you can target losing your belly fat only and not losing fat either way. Now, this is where it boils down to. Your body is going to determine how you're going to lose your belly fat. So, and we will see how to combat those myths in a later video and in a later section of this video as well. Nutrition and lifestyle is another major, it's one of the biggest factors that we can control. What you eat makes you increased consumption of simple sugars, just added sugar, beverages that are full of sugar, highly processed foods, baked goods, all the yummy goods that are baked with a lot of saturated fats, and snacking more than eating whole food, poor hydration, not taking enough water, less consumption of vegetables, poor sleep, all these things, and structured eating. You wake up, you feel like eating, you eat. You wake up, you don't feel like eating, you don't eat. And then it forms the cycle of poor nutrition and lifestyle. People are not keeping active. People are sitting down more than they used to. People are, like, life has become so sedentary that even digestion is being affected and all the nutrition is being affected as well. Hormonal influences. Insulin, like we talked before, Cortisol is what we call the stress hormone. There's a lot of increased stress in our world today, and a lot of that contributes to the accumulation of the fat around our belly section. Sex hormones impact the storage of fat. High cortisol levels and insulin resistance can lead to visceral fat accumulation. Skewed or poor, decreased or increased sex hormones can influence the increased fat storage and deposit. Poor stress management. People are turning to gadgets and technology. We are forgetting the humanity and the cohesion of communities that has helped generations and generations in managing stress. And a lot of people are not managing stress in the correct way. And we are dealing with stress by increasing more stress. And that leads to difficulty in losing our belly fat or just accumulated fat in general. Poor sleep pattern. We have seen the light of technology and the blue light so much, and it increases into poor sleep patterns. The more we don't sleep well, the more we affect our hormones, and the more we create the cycle again of fat accumulation and poor lifestyle. And then it just becomes the case of chicken and the egg. And then it becomes a point of we have to get to a point where we break that cycle. The evidence-based strategies to end your belly fat. I know it's going to sound very simple and like, why are you not telling us something magical? This is where the magic lies. And the myth of targeted fat loss. Remember your genetics and be realistic. Have a rounded view of how your body loses fat. Go back to your young years before the accumulation of the excess weight. See, how did you look like? How does your generations look like? And then have that realistic and set goals. And because the biggest strategy for you is to be able to have the correct mindset, correct expectation, and the correct view of where you're going, realistic goals. Number 2 is manage your nutrition. They say abs are made in the kitchen. You are what you eat. Quick fixes are not going to give you results. You might lose it, but you're losing your lean body mass, and the body will come back complaining, and it will deposit more fat eventually. So manage your stress correctly. Build a community and a tribe around you. I know community, and I know the difficulties of maintaining relationships and maintaining a good community, but we have to pay the price because that's where our healing lies. Get adequate sleep. Manage, and we will talk more about sleep and how we can manage this and more. Another factor I cannot emphasize is adequate water. Drink enough water, proper hydration. Now, understanding these factors is really crucial in effective approach to tackling your belly fat. It emphasizes the need for holistic strategy, addressing lifestyle, genetics, and reducing visceral fat overall for health improvement. So stay tuned for the next videos in this series, and keep your mind where it's supposed to be. It was a pleasure to meet you in this one, and see you in the next. Thank you so much, and God bless you.